This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome everyone once again for joining the demo session. I'm Praveen, one of your instructor for Playwright TypeScript course. In terms of the demo session that I have for today, the agenda that we'll be discussing over here is first we'll go through like what is the advantage of Playwright that we have to use that we will be using in terms of writing the test automation. So first we'll check like what are the different advantages that we have in terms of Playwright over other tools in the market. Second, we'll see in terms of installation we'll cover in the latest later sessions like going forward. After checking the advantage, we'll see like what are the course content that we have uh, in terms of Playwright and TypeScript. And after going through with the course content, we'll also see if there is any prerequisite that we require to join the session. Fourth, what you will be getting out of what is basically expectation from this particular course. So what you will get or you will basically get after the completion of course. And fifth, we will basically have a question and answer session. If time permits, we'll also do a quick testing part where like I have already installed in my system. So we'll try to check it out. If the time permits, we'll try to check it out. Like how do we write the test automation? How do we write the test automation using Playwright TypeScript? Okay, so these are the agenda for today's demo session. In the demo session, we mostly cover like what is Playwright tool, course content, advantage of Playwright, what should be the prerequisite to join the courses, and after the completion of the course, where you will be and what you will be able to do by self. Okay, so let's get started with a few of the things for like advantage of Playwright. Before that, what is Playwright? So also before I started, I just wanted to understand from you people like have you people ever worked on any of the tools and technology in terms of test automation? Any one of you have worked previously on any of the automation tools? Yes,
Yeah,
no,
actually,
Shubham.
yes, I worked on Selenium.
Okay, what
Yeah,
about other people?
I do have knowledge of Selenium, but I do not have hands-on. A little bit of hands-on, I
Okay.
can say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Okay, so let's get started then. So Playwright is one of our end-to-end automation tool. When we say like end-to-end automation tool, it also covers UI automation as well as API automation. So this Playwright tool basically covers both of the things, which is web automation as well as API automation. It is one of the powerful tools that we have in terms of in the market for the test automation, which currently covers both UI and API, as well as a mix of web and API automation. What is meant by mix of web and API automation is sometimes in terms of test automation, we require a help of API to fetch some kind of data and then move ahead in terms of the web automation. So Playwright will also be able to support in that way. Whereas if I talk about if you have already worked on Selenium, you might be knowing that if you have to use like API automation in terms of the web automation itself, you will basically have to take the help of REST assured API, which directly does not get supported by the Selenium. Whereas Playwright, in terms of Playwright, it also supports the API automation automatically. So it will be very easy for us in terms of writing the mix of web and API automation as well. If we want to write like purely web automation, Playwright support that as well. And if you want to go for specifically API automation, Playwright support that as well. So it is basically a tool which covers UI and API automation as well. Let's move to the few of the advantages. Before that, we'll try to understand what is the architecture of the Playwright, and we'll compare with the Selenium. The person like who have already worked on Selenium, they might be knowing that every test automation will have some kind of architecture. Every tools will have some kind of architecture, right? So in terms of Selenium, if we talk about, Selenium is a client and server based architecture where we have a client. What is client? Client is something where we write our code. So the editor, wherever you write your code, let's say you have some of you might have Eclipse, some of you might have used IntelliJ, some of you might have used Visual Studio Code. So that is called as basically your client. That means editor where we are trying to write the test automation, write the code. So if you see this one, this one is basically a editor. This is Visual Studio Code, which is an editor where we write the code. Okay, so that is what known as a client, and then there will be a server. So in terms of Selenium, we have a Selenium standalone server, and in terms of Playwright, we have Node.js server. So in every for each and every tools that we have available in the market for the test automation, will have some kind of server available so that it will connect like wherever we write the code, that is known as a client, and then there will be a server which will connect between like client and server, and then the code will be whatever the test automation that will be writing will be executed on the different browser. Okay, so this is a basic things. Now let's talk about the Selenium architecture over here. So if I talk about Selenium architecture, we write the code by using any of the technology, any of the tools and technology. um, any one of you are trying to ask anything? Okay, so what happen in general in terms of Selenium is we write our code in a editor. That means editor in the sense wherever we write our code, and then whenever we try to execute the test, it first will be converted into the JSON format using a HTTP protocol. So there will definitely be an answer question in terms of the interview, that what is difference between Selenium architecture and Playwright architecture, because these two tools are very popular in the market right now. So in terms of Selenium, the client and server will connect over a HTTP protocol. In terms of HTTP protocol, what happens is like, let's say you have 10 lines of code. Example, let's say you have a few lines of code, and all the few lines of code are doing some kind of operation, trying to do some kind of operation. So in terms of HTTP protocol, whenever a client and server is connected between the HTTP protocol, for each and every lines of code, they will try to connect between a client and server, and after completion of the each and every step, the, the connection will be terminated. For the new line, again they will start one more connection, a new connection between a client and server using a HTTP protocol. Okay, that is how the Selenium architecture have been made. And then again, at the time of running the code, it will be given to the driver specific, like browser driver. So let's say you are trying to test your test cases on Chrome browser. At that point of time, Chrome driver, you basically have to install Chrome driver as well, and the code will be given to the Chrome driver. Chrome driver will run our code on the browser. Okay, so these are like in terms of Selenium, it is a three-layer architecture. One is a client where you write the code. Second, at the time of running, the test, basically at the time of running the test, the code will be given to the browser driver, browser specific driver. If you are working on Chrome, then Chrome driver, Firefox, then Gecko driver, and so on. And then the code will run on the browser. So basically, there is a middleware person where this browser driver take care of execution of our code on the browser. And then when again like it needs a response from the browser, then browser will give the response to the driver, and then driver will give us back the response to the client. Okay, so this is a three-layer architecture. Whereas if we talk about Playwright architecture, it first it is having again the similar things, which is client and server based architecture. The difference between Selenium and Playwright is Playwright do not have any third party middle layer, which in terms of Selenium we have browser driver. Okay, in terms of Selenium we have a browser driver, whereas in terms of Playwright we do not have any third party tool which will take care of running of the test cases. So Playwright is a two-tier architecture. One is a client where we write our code. It will connect with the server. It will basically connect with the Node.js server using a WebSocket connection. In terms of Selenium, it connects over HTTP protocol, HTTP connection. As I discussed just around a couple of minutes ago, that whenever a client and server is um, connecting between a client and server over a HTTP protocol, at that point of time, for each and every lines of code or each and every steps of code, there will be a new connection happen between a client and server. Whereas Playwright, in terms of Playwright, client and server connect over a WebSocket connection. So what is WebSocket connection? WebSocket connection is a connection. Let's say if you have 10 lines of code written in terms of a test case, then there will be only one connection made at the starting of the test, at the starting of the execution of test case. And from there on, this will never disconnect as soon as like your entire test case have been completed, then only the connection will be terminated. Whereas in terms of HTTP protocol, for each and every line of the code, the connection will be terminated. This is one major reason where Playwright is much faster in terms of Selenium. Selenium try to connect between a client and server for each and every lines of code, whereas Playwright connect at the beginning of the execution of the code itself, and from there on it will never disconnect. It will disconnect after completion of entire test cases have been run successfully. Okay, and the process is again same. Once we write the code on the client, which is any type of editor, either Eclipse, IntelliJ, or Visual Studio Code, and then the code will be converted into the JSON format, and that JSON format basically will directly connect with the browser. So we do not have any third party layer over here as in terms of Selenium, which is browser driver. Okay, and even if we have to get the response after execution of the test, then browser will directly give us back the response as well. In terms of Selenium, the browser will give the response to the driver, and then driver will provide us response back to the client. So in terms of Playwright, there is a there is a reduction in third party, which also one of a major reason where Playwright is much faster in terms of Selenium. Okay, so this is one major advantage that we have in terms of Playwright over Selenium, that Playwright is much faster. There are two reasons for that. One is WebSocket connection, and second is Playwright does not have any third party a layer which is known as a browser driver in terms of Selenium. That reduces the execution steps as well. Okay, now let's talk about few of the advantages that we have in terms of Playwright. So I've noted down over here. I'll share this document with you people as well after our session. So what you can do is I'll just request you people to share your name and contact number so that we can share these documents to you people after our session. Okay, So just provide your name. I'm just requesting that you can provide your name plus contact number so that we can provide the detail, like few of the documents that we are trying to discuss in our session today. Okay. So let's talk about few of the advantages that we have in terms of Playwright. Okay. So first is, as I discussed earlier, Playwright enables end-to-end testing for modern web application with auto-waiting concept. One of the major advantages of using Playwright is we do not have to write any waiting concept in terms of Playwright. What is meant by that? So if you people have already worked on Selenium or you have knowledge on Selenium, then you might be knowing that whenever we have to automate on any of the element or whatever the action that we have to do in terms of the test automation, in general in Selenium we have to specifically write a code to wait for an element to be visible on the page, and then we can do some kind of operation. Example, what I'm trying to say over here is, let's say if you just have to fill this particular uh, form. So what in general we'll be doing is we'll first launching the URL and then we'll wait for whether the first name field is displaying or not. Okay, this will be one of the things. Example I'm talking about. Okay, so we'll just wait for an element to load on the page and then we'll be doing some kind of operation. So for that we basically have to use implicit wait or explicit wait in terms of Selenium. Whereas Playwright says that you do not have to write anything in terms of implicit wait or explicit wait. It will automatically take care of the waiting of it, basically automatically validate whether the element have been loaded on the page or not. Okay, and the waiting period that it has by default is 30 seconds. What is meant by that? So let's say if you have launched this particular URL, so it will wait for maximum 30 seconds to check if the element have been displayed on the page or not. If it is able to find within a second itself, then it will keep on going for the doing some kind of operation, whatever we have in terms of the test automation. Okay, in general we do not have to write to wait for an element and then do some kind of operation. It has a by default waiting capability of 30 seconds. Okay, so with this we basically it basically removes stale element exception. You might be knowing what is stale element exception. We'll discuss in our later sessions. So Playwright automatically removes stale element exception in terms of test automation. Okay, now uh, the advantage of Playwright over other, like Cypress is also available in the market. So advantage of Playwright over Cypress is, Playwright works on major browser that we have available in the market, which is like Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Safari, and Opera. It also works on different operating system, which is Windows, Mac, Linux. What is meant that? So you write on your code. Let's say you are writing your code in Windows operating system. The same code will also be applicable on MacBook and Linux, Mac operating system, and Linux as well. It also have one support where the same code will also be applicable on mobile browser. That means in terms of Android, if you're using, then for Google Chrome the same code will be applicable, and for in terms of Safari, in terms of iOS mobile, for the Safari browser the same code will be applicable. That means whatever the code that we are writing for web automation, it will also work in terms of mobile browser as well. I was just talking about the advantage of Playwright over Cypress is Cypress supports only JavaScript as a programming language, whereas Playwright supports most of the major programming language, which is similar to Selenium as well. What is meant by that is Selenium also supports major languages, which is JavaScript, TypeScript, Java, Python, and so on. And in terms of Playwright, also supports all the major programming languages that we have in terms of the market right now. Okay, so that is where one advantage we have over the other tools other than Selenium in terms of Playwright is it supports a major programming language. And then there are a couple of more advantages that Playwright has given. it it has a feature known as traces. Whenever we start writing the test in terms of Playwright, we'll see that there will be one traces will automatically be generated. The traces basically consist of the complete logs of our test automation. If you have worked on Selenium, you might be knowing that whenever we have to generate a complete log, we basically use a third party library which is log4j to generate the logs in terms of test automation. Whereas Playwright has a feature known as traces, which automatically does the logging part. That means, let's say the first step that we have written is saying launch the URL. So it will also make the log of launching the URL, then filling the username password, clicking on login button, and then user should be redirected to the dashboard and so on. So each and every logs steps of each and every logs will be automatically generated without integrating with any third party tool. Second, in terms of test automation, what used to be a necessary part is like whenever our test case failed, we generally have to take this screenshot by using like whatever the tools that we are using. So in terms of Selenium, if you have worked on, then to take the screenshot, we again have to depend on a third party tool which is known as commons.io. Okay, so we have to basically use a third party tool like commons.io to take the screenshot, store at some place, and then again attach to the report. In terms of Playwright automatically take care of the taking the screenshot of the page as well. So we do not have to write even a single line of code to take this screenshot of the page. Either you can take the screenshot for each and every line of execution, or you can take the screenshot on failure as well. Okay, so we do not even have to write even a single line of code to take the screenshot in terms of Playwright. There is one more advantage that we have, that it generates the recording as well automatically. So test video recording of the test execution it also generates. So let's say if a test case have taken a 1 minute of time, then it will generate a 1 minute of video recording for the test, that whatever the step that it has followed, it will keep on displaying in the video. And it has like uh, flaky test retry as well. So when sometimes what happens is our test case will get failed due to some network issues or some kind of environment issues and so on. So at that time, what do we generally do is we rerun the same test case again and again to check whether it is really a genuine failure or a failure due to some kind of environment issues. So for that also, in terms of Selenium, we have to depend on a interface that we have a iTrest test retriever. Whereas in terms of Playwright, it all automatically take care of running the test cases on failure as well. Okay. Now, one more advantage that we have in terms of Playwright is in Playwright has given a tool known as Inspector tool, which is very easy for us in terms of generating and debugging the failure test cases or the step of execution. What happened in terms of Inspector tool is it generally shows you all the execution of each and every steps. It is also having a time travel kind of. That means you executed the code and it will display you what happened before execution of the code and what happened after execution of the code. And for each and every steps like before execution and after execution, it will automatically take the screenshot of the pages as well. So in terms of debugging, it becomes very easy by using the inspector tool. When we say like debugging, sometimes like in terms of the whenever our test failed, we generally do a debugging like why test have been failed, what is the issues and so on. If you use inspector tool, it will automatically display all the things. It will automatically say you that what step have been failed and what could be the solution as well. Earlier I was talking about Playwright has an built-in API testing library. So this is one again major advantage over Selenium. for the Playwright is Playwright also supports API automation. So we can take the help of the API automation to test some kind of edge case scenario as well. We'll check like what can be, uh, where we can help take the help of the API in terms of the in terms of Playwright. Also, if you have worked on Selenium, there is something known as Selenium IDE, which is a record and playback tool, right? So whatever the action you do in terms of navigating into the application, it will automatically generate the code. Playwright has given a code gen tool, which is exactly similar to Selenium IDE, but it is having an advanced version of support. That means it will generate automatic automatically test automation like script, test script, and also we can be able to do a lot of things over there, so that you can directly copy and paste in your editor and you can try running the code. It will run into a similar way however we write the code, like basically manually. Okay, and then there are a couple of other which we can discuss in our later sessions. Probably in our first session, you might not be able to understand what is shadow DOM element and so on. So I'll leave it for the later part of the sessions. Okay, so these are the few advantages that we have. There are lot many others, but these are the few major advantages that we have in terms of Playwright over the other tools that we have in the market, and that is why Playwright is very famous nowadays, and it is most popular tool available in the market right now. Okay, so that's about the advantage of Playwright that we have. Let's move to the course content in terms of the Playwright and TypeScript. So this is the course content that we have developed. This basically covers the course content have been developed in such a way that it will be helpful for the freshers as well as a person who have been working on a manual testing, and as well as a person who is currently working on the test automation as well. So this course will be helpful for all level of the um, um, employees, whoever either is working or non-working person. Second, it will cover everything from scratch, everything from basic. So even for a non-technical person, this course will be again suitable and helpful as well. Okay, so in terms of Playwright course content that we have, we will first start with the basics of the TypeScript, as we will be covering up with Playwright using a TypeScript. So we'll cover first the basics of TypeScript, the complete from scratch. What is TypeScript? How do we generate, like how do we write variables? What are the different data types that we have? Statements, loops like if-else conditions, for loop, while loop, and some other loop that we have in terms of TypeScript. How do we generate a function, or how do we write the functions? How do we create object? What is arrays in terms of type, arrow functions, asynchronous nature? We know that like TypeScript and JavaScript both are asynchronous in nature. Asynchronous in means the code execution will not happen in a step-by-step manner. We'll see like how do we handle those scenarios once we start our session. So first, 2 weeks of time will be given for the TypeScript, where we'll cover everything from scratch in terms of TypeScript. And after completion of TypeScript, we'll move to the Playwright, uh, like Playwright automation, where we'll see the introduction of Playwright that we have just gone through. We'll go through with like in detail installation of Playwright. What is the prerequisite that we have to have in our system whenever we have to work with Playwright? After setting up the project, we'll try to understand few of the major things that we have in terms of the Playwright is test annotation, async await concept, which is also comes under the asynchronous part of TypeScript. Then we'll try to understand a few of the fixtures that Playwright has given. Playwright configuration will go through with that, and we'll also try to understand what are the different browsers that it supports. So in general, if I talk about over here, we'll see that at the time of Playwright installation, it will provide you the major browser that it generally supports. Okay. uh, okay, so we can see that it has mentioned the browser over here, which is like Chromium, Firefox, Safari, mobile version of browser for iOS as well, and then Microsoft and Google Chrome. These are the browser that basically Playwright support. So whatever you see, it automatically generates everything at the time of installation. We do not have to write any of the steps that you see over here. It automatically take care at the time of installation of the Playwright. After that, we'll go in a basic level of the test writing, where we'll be using a few basic methods by writing a field plate text method, locating a multiple elements. We'll see like how the weighting mechanism work. When I was talking like 10 minutes ago, I was talking about it has a default waiting concept of 30 seconds and so on. We'll go for after completion of the very basic methods, we'll go for how do we handle the drop downs, radio buttons, child windows, like multiple windows kind of. And then we'll also go through with few of the features that I was talking about, which is inspector, traces, and code gen. So we'll cover up that as well in our courses. And after completion of basic part, we'll go for advanced level of Playwright, which is handling a dynamic elements, dynamic drop-down, validation, assertions. We'll try to write an end-to-end automation script using a Playwright for one of our e-commerce website. And after that, we'll also try to understand there are different methods that Playwright has given to write a locators. Apart from XPath and CSS selected, we can also write the locators by using some of the methods that Playwright has automatically given. And after completion of a few of the advanced level, we'll go in a deeper level of advance, where we'll check how do we handle alert frames, file upload, file downloads, shadow DOM elements handling, hidden elements validation, and so on. And after completion of the advanced level of web automation, we'll go for API testing. That this will basically cover a basics of the API. Will not be a complete detail of the API. We'll just be having a basic level of API that we'll be covering up over here. And after that, we'll be going for the visual testing of the Playwright. What is meant by visual testing is, however you see this is appearing. So this is basically known as a visual, where you compare the application page by page. What is the look and feel of the application, that we can also check in terms of Playwright as well. Then we'll see like how do we take the screenshot. I've just talked about Playwright automatically take care of the screenshot, like taking the screenshot. But if you want to take it manually, there is a way as well in Playwright. And after completion of the advanced level, we'll go for framework generation or framework creation, where we'll discuss two types of framework. One is page object model, and second will be a BDD Cucumber framework that we'll be discussing. And later we'll also see like how do we generate the different types of reporting, how do we connect with the uh, github, uh, how do we basically store our code into GitHub, and then how do we connect with the CI/CD pipeline using Jenkins. Okay, so these are the complete course curriculum that we have in terms of Playwright using TypeScript. Okay. um, uh, then if I talk about the prerequisite to join the session or join the courses, is the only thing that you need is to have some kind of understanding of the testing. That means some kind of understanding of the manual testing. If you have understanding of the manual testing, then you are ready to join the course. And as I have discussed in terms of the course content, everything will be covered from scratch. So even if you do not have any technical knowledge, that is also sufficient to join the course, provided you just have to have some kind of manual understanding of the test case, manual understanding of the uh, basically manual testing as well. So in terms of Playwright using JavaScript, we'll be covering up a JavaScript as well. If it is for the TypeScript, then we'll cover TypeScript. So we have another course where we have Playwright using JavaScript. The We basically have a Playwright using JavaScript as well. If you see this one, so here you will be able to see like everything will be covering up in terms of JavaScript as well. Okay, and right, I was discussing about the prerequisites. So as I said, if you have some understanding of the testing, that is well and good for joining the course. Then after that, what you will basically get after the completion of course, one is the certificate that you will be getting from the institute. Second is you will have a confidence. You'll build up your confidence to generate the framework from scratch using Playwright. Okay, so if you basically complete the courses and whatever we discuss in our session, if you practice it out as well, you will be, after the completion of the courses, you will be in a confidence that you will be able to generate the framework from scratch, write the test script inside the framework as well. Or you will also be in a position to be an at the intermediate level of the Playwright test automation, where you can also show like 1 year or 2 years of experience based on the practice that you do, provided you have to practice as well. Okay, and then we have still couple of minutes left. So what I'll do is I'll just keep it open for you people to have a question. If you have, I'll be like happy to answer. If you have any type of question that you are looking out for, uh, from like the courses or the course content, whatever you have, you are basically ready to ask the questions now. Yes, sir, please.
Hey, Praveen, was it? Sorry. Yeah, Praveen. So are you going to be taking us through all the supported languages like .NET, Node.js, Python, Java, or are you sticking just to Java, JavaScript?
Right, so this course is basically designed either for a TypeScript or JavaScript. So whatever the language we'll be choosing will be going in that particular way itself. So let's say if you're selecting Playwright using JavaScript, then we'll be going for JavaScript itself, not for the other major language. If you go for major languages, then our course will be going forever for the next 6 months, because technology, if you want to learn like Java, it will take like 45 days to master it, at least go at an intermediate level at Java. For in terms of JavaScript, again, we have something like it will take a couple of weeks, TypeScript will take a couple of weeks, and so on. So if you consider in that way, like our course will go for like at least 6 months of time. So only one specific technology will be covered in terms of our courses. Either if you're enrolling for Playwright using JavaScript, then JavaScript will be covered. If TypeScript, then TypeScript will be covered over here. Okay, does it answer your question, Joe?
Yep, thank you.
Hello.
Also, before I take the next question, the course that we will be covering up over here, either uh, Playwright using TypeScript or JavaScript, the course, the complete session will be for 30 hours. That means every day, 5 days in a week will be for 1 hour daily, and that will go for 30 hours of the course. The total course have been designed for 30 hours. Yes, yes, Vijay.
Hello, Praveen. I have a question. Like when compared to Selenium to with Playwright. Hello.
Yes, yes.
In Selenium, we create a new object for Chrome driver.
Hmm.
Then we create. Then we perform the actions like navigate back and forward on the web page.
Right.
But whereas in Playwright, you said there is no mediator, like a driver object, you can
Hmm.
directly work on
Right.
real browser.
Correct.
In that case, can you do these operations like that we can do with the WebDriver? And also, same session till the end of test is continued that you said. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, uh, in such case, we are working directly on real browsers, but can it be possible with the Playwright parallel test execution in that case?
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Right. So that's a good question. One
Not
is
two
the
questions,
first.
two questions.
Right. Right. The first question, I'll answer your first question that you say go back, go forward, and so on. Playwright also
Yeah.
supports those kind of things. Playwright also supports those kind of things. In terms of Selenium, why do we require a browser driver? Browser driver is basically required for running our code on the browser. Okay. Whereas in terms of Playwright, we do not require any support of browser to run our code on the on the browser. It will automatically run wherever you write the code at the time of execution. It will automatically run our code on the browser without taking help of any third party tool in terms of Selenium, which is browser driver. So go back, go forward, and refresh kind of things will automatically be taken care. We do have a method known as go back, go forward, and refresh in terms of Playwright as well. So we'll be Playwright also support those kind of things. Second, as you talked about parallel. So parallel testing is not depending on the browser driver or the driver that you are using. In any tools and technology, it depends on the framework that you are trying to use. So if you have worked on Selenium, then you might be knowing, you might have worked like either TestNG or Jmeter, which basically does a
So
support of
Playwright,
parallel testing.
Playwright will integrate with a third party tool like browser stack, and will that
Playwright,
happen?
uh, right. So Playwright is one of a framework as well, which automatically supports the parallel execution. If you see over here, it automatically supports the parallel execution, fully parallel execution as well. You can run 50 number of test cases as well at one point of time. Now it can integrate with any of the third party tool, which Selenium and other tool does as well. Okay.
Was
So
the
it also
course
can Mhm. Yes, you can ask your question.
your course content doesn't say that you're integrating with third party.
Right. So see, this course is a generic course. It is not for, so as you said, like you can integrate with browser stack. Some people might integrate with GCP, which is like Google Cloud Platform. Some people will try to integrate with Azure. Some people will try to integrate with AWS. Right. So this course is generic. It is not like it is not for each and every individual that they'll be using a browser stack, right? It is not for each and every individual that they'll be going for using uh, other tools that we have, which is like AWS, GCP, and Azure. So that's where you will not see over here that the course contain like whether it will be integrated with the other third party tool or not. Those kind of things will not be given, not only for this particular institute, but in any of the institute wherever you go, they will not cover any third party tool, because that is not generic for every student. That might be one helpful for you, but browser stack might not be useful for the other person, or AWS might not be useful for other person, Azure might not be useful for other person. So whatever the generic course content that we used to have, every institute will cover in that way itself.
Sir,
Okay, I hope it answers.
yes. You said a manual test engineer can easily learn Playwright.
Hmm.
You just need the testing knowledge enough. But you said you are writing the test code in Java, JavaScript, or any other preferred language. In that
Hmm.
case, how a manual test engineer will proceed with Playwright? I assume like there is a play record functionality in
No, which
Playwright.
I'll again iterate it. So record and playback does not come under any kind of things to understand the either code or either test automation or anything. As I talked earlier, that in terms of the course content, if any one of the person is going for TypeScript, then the TypeScript will be covered from scratch. If a person is going for JavaScript, then JavaScript will also be covered from scratch. So even if a person have worked on manual testing, they do not have to worry about learning the technology part. Even the technology part will be taken care over here as well. So if they are enrolling for JavaScript, then JavaScript will be covered from scratch. If they are going for TypeScript, then TypeScript will be covered from completely scratch. Scratch in the sense completely from basic level. Okay, does it answer your question?
Uh, Yep. What kind of testing we can do with Playwright? Functional, non-functional, everything.
So Playwright is basically for functional as well as for the API automation. So the functionality part will cover it completely. API part it will cover completely.
No,
There are
in
a few.
API, in API, you are testing a load or what actually?
That is what I'm saying. So API testing you can do for the functionality as well. When I select
Functionality.
functionality, a, right. When I select functionality, like whenever you log in into the application, you have to reach to the dashboard. So there is an
Mm,
API which get called at the time of
mm,
login. So if you have to validate
mm,
whether the API is working properly or not, those kind of things you
mm,
can easily do with the Playwright. If I talk about the non-functional, which is like load testing and other testing, very basic part of the things Playwright covered right now, but not in the complete advanced level where you can integrate a non-functional testing as well with Playwright. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Other person, Shankar. Yes, please.
Yes. So do we cover data-driven testing here?
Yes, we do cover in terms of the Playwright framework over here. So if you see the course content, we generate the parameterization in terms of running the test case, handling the data from the JSON file, and we do the data driven testing itself whenever we get the data from the JSON file. We also cover like serialization and parallelization and running the test case on parameterized along with the different data, which will be a data driven testing.
Okay. And I would like to know some points regarding this Playwright. What is the kind of a market share, like how much people are using in this Playwright, and what type of companies or domains are mostly preferring this Playwright technologies? Man.
Right. Okay. So if I talk about the market share that we have, currently, currently I see in terms of the job opening as well, there are like 60% of the job that is going towards a playwright right now. Most of them are looking for playwright using JavaScript. Few of them are looking for playwright using TypeScript. Okay, so in terms of market share, it currently have 60% of the things. Organization and the people are moving towards playwright nowadays. I have seen like a very big organization who have migrated recently 11,000 test cases from Selenium to playwright. So most of the organization are going towards the playwright as well. So if I talk about the future of this playwright in the next 1 year, um, I I'll not be surprised if there will be a 75% of market share in terms of playwright.
Okay. And this
Okay,
will be used
and
across all the domains.
this will be used across all the domains.
And one point I did not understand, you are talking about around 11,000 test cases. So those are auto like migrated to Playwright, or
No, not
they have
auto-migrated,
from
not
scratch?
automated. They actually they have to write it from scratch.
They have written.
So,
Okay.
right, they have written everything from scratch. I hope
And
all the questions have been answered for
yes,
you,
yes.
Shankar.
One question is left. Do you
Yes,
provide materials and recordings?
everything will be provided for a lifetime access.
Great, great. Thanks. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes,
Uh,
Vinay, just
Hi,
over
Praveen.
you. Yes.
Yes, Praveen. In our project, actually, there is MFA authentication. So, is there a scenario like we can automate using Playwright?
So MFA, see, I'll talk about one thing, that whatever you are able to do using Selenium, you will be able to do using Playwright as well. Okay, so even there are a workaround for the MFA to automate in terms of using Playwright. So you should be able to do that using Playwright as well.
Okay. And then the next question is like you mentioned, like the pipeline you are using is Jenkins, right? Like again, in our project, they are using Azure DevOps. So, you will be covering that as well, or only Jenkins part?
Again, when I see whatever earlier, like Vijay was asking for a third party tool, right? So this course will not cover those kind of things. But if you require any kind of help in that, you can again reach back to me any point of
Okay.
time. I'll be able to help you out. As I said, this course is generic for each and everyone. So Vinay, you might be using Azure, but maybe like Shankar might not be using. He might be using AWS. Uday might be using some kind of other, like let's say GCP. So again, learning Azure will not be helpful for those people. So that's where we have made the course in a generic format, which will be helpful for each and every individual who ever join our course. And second thing is, whatever in terms of a customization that you require, you can again reach back to the instructor, whoever whoever will be teaching in terms of this course. I'll be teaching, so you can again reach back to me for any kind of help. Third thing is, if you are learning Jenkins, it will be exactly similar in terms of the Azure as well. So like step will be a slight difference, but the UI part will almost be similar. So we'll also see like how do we if you learn like Jenkins, you'll automatically learn Azure as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Praveen.
Okay, great, thanks. I'll move to the next person. I believe like Uday is over here.
Hi, Praveen. This course,
Yes.
like you said, 30 days, 30 hours, 1 hour a day. If you wanted to go for a fast track, I did a certification in Playwright. I'm a performance testing background guy. I'm upskilling myself into automation, especially with Playwright. I've done some certification. So if I wanted to complete these 30 hours within a short period of time, is that something possible?
That is possible, but again, for that you'll have to join in another session.
Also,
When I say like another session, that means another course where everything will be taken in a fast track manner.
okay, so you are providing that fast track course as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay, who do I approach regarding that?
Whoever you are currently in contact with, you can approach
Okay,
with them.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Right. So if you have any question, if you have any other questions, you can feel free to ask. I'll take couple of questions from the chat. One is, will Playwright replace Selenium in the future? No, it is not possible. Though Playwright is having some kind of advantage, there is none of the tools will replace other. Selenium is from the last 20 years in the market and will be there for the next 20 years as well. So Selenium will not be replaced completely there, but the number of organization and number of people will reduce that we have currently in the market. Second, I'll go for, does it support AI testing? Yes, we do have a support for the AI testing as well. So Playwright will also does a support for the AI testing. Do you provide interview questions and answer? Yes, of course. I'll provide for JavaScript and then the Playwright as well. Any other question from anyone? I would request you people to share your contact number as well as name, so that then only I'll be able to forward you the document, or else it might not be possible for me to share with it with you people. So just provide your name and the contact number. Will be enough for forwarding the documents.
Java, Python,
Uh,
Scala.
yes, Vijay.
Uh, Hi Praveen. Can be possible to work with AppDM that used for the mobile automation testing? So in case of web application development, uh, for mobile web application development, can we use Playwright
So
also,
I
or in which case
if
we can?
right. So if you are talking about mobile web application testing, then the
Yes,
same
yes.
code whatever you write, then the same code whatever you write for the web automation testing will be applicable in terms of mobile as well. Okay. So the same code whatever you write for the web automation testing will be applicable for mobile web testing as well. If you are specifically talk about the APM that supports mobile application, then Playwright is currently in the development phase for the mobile application support. In the next six
Mhm.
months time, like it will come up with uh, uh, update where it also supports the mobile app automation. Mobile app automation and mobile web automation, those are both two different things. So for mobile app automation, application automation, Playwright does not support currently. It will support in the future. Whereas for mobile web automation, it still support the same code that you write for the web automation will be applicable on the mobile as well.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question from anyone?
Yes, from my end. So,
Yes.
what kind of projects do you give for practice? Is it like something like live, hands-on, which helps in real time? Like I can say, which helps to
Right.
face the real-time interviews in the market.
Right. So we will be going with the one of a e-commerce website with the live practice and all. We'll generate the framework on the e-commerce website as well. We'll write all the scripts on the e-commerce website itself.
Okay.
Okay.
So apart from
S-
sorry to
mhm.
interrupt. Yeah. Apart from the
No.
scripts, what you write during the sessions, is there any test that you give for the practice? Like you have to create so many so and so tests,
Right.
write the
So
scripts to
we'll
what so and so tests like that.
correct. So we'll also be providing the test in the sense the practice things that I'll be providing you people to practice it out and share it with me either at the end of the course or whenever it is possible so that I can review it out and comment on that whether it is going in a better way or not. So that things will also be taken care in terms of the courses.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking this question is I'm currently looking for a automation test engineer role. I learned Selenium and I don't feel like confident enough to give the interview. And if like
Hmm.
people are looking
Understood.
for multiple things as a if I don't have hands-on, I know with hands-on, like I have 6 years of experience in IT. So with hands-on we can make things and we will remember things and we will try to implement new things. But without having hands-on, it is tough to remember so many concepts or the so many tools, I can say, to face
Correct.
the
Correct.
interview. That's what.
Correct. So all the hands-on will be taken care in our session itself. Will be given for the testing as well. Plus, um, this is one again advantage over for the people in the market to learn Playwright because Playwright is in the market from the last 5 6 years, whereas Selenium is in the market from the over 20 years. So the people are there who is like very expert in terms of Selenium, so they'll ask you the question in that way. If you are going for Playwright is new in the market. People who is still learning, still are in the learning phase itself. So it will be very easy for us, for everyone in terms of the learning plus in terms of the interview purpose as well. So if you practice it out, do a hands-on, you should be able to crack interview in terms of the Playwright very easily if I compared with Selenium.
Okay.
Okay.
you.
Any other questions from anyone?
Praveen, just one last question. Does this AI testing that you were talking about, um, will it cover under the course content?
No, Uday. It is again specific to either organization or the people who will be learning for in terms of the AI. So again,
Okay.
it will again not be a generic things for every person or every employee. So you can consider in like whatever the customization for individual organization or individual people will be there will not be covered up, whereas whatever the generic things will be in terms of any of like the test automation will be covered from completely from basic level.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question from anyone?